All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Homebound To Eretz Yisrael. Today we are here with very hold on. Backtrack, okay? You guys may have noticed something different about the setup here. It's my wife. It's my wife.
Are you new to the scene?
Huh?
You're new to the scene?
Yeah, so we're introducing the wife, and as you can see here, we have our guest. We have Netanel Rosen and his wife, who I'm assuming is Mrs. Rosen, right? What? Aviva Rosen. So we've got ladies today because that's what the people wanted. People wanted more ladies. They wanted to relate because I kind of feel I'm like a bit feminine, but some people feel I'm not. I looked at my YouTube analytics. I'm generating about 80% male audience.
Really?
Yeah, we want to try to get at least to 25-30% women involved, because at the end of the day, the women are the mainstay of the home. If we can get the women, we can get the men, right? Isn't that like there's a lot of Torah on this?
A lot of Torah on this.
For sure. Nisan will tell us all about that. Okay, so today's intro. We don't have an intro. We're just going to talk. You guys are going to listen to us talk because many of you already know Netanel Rosen, right? Because Netanel's big. He's big in the Aliyah advocacy world. And my wife, Tova. Say hi, Tova. Tova is big in the Aliyah advocacy world also. And because she shares my videos sometimes. If she
I don't always watch them.
She doesn't watch all of them.
It's okay, I don't follow his status.
Yeah, see? We don't have the most supportive women, but that's good. It builds us up and makes us stronger. That's why me and Hassan will have WhatsApp platforms and YouTube platforms, because we weren't getting that attention at home. Okay, did I mention everything is raw and unedited here? So
correct.
Yeah,
it's a real conversation.
It's a real conversation.
It's a raw conversation.
Yeah, no, we don't edit anything. Okay. So let's start a little bit with Netanel and Aviva. Maybe you guys can tell us a little bit about how you guys ended up in Eretz Yisrael. Well, Aviva, you said you were born here. Netanel said you said you came here at a later age, very late in your life. And so tell us a little bit how you got here, if you needed to get here, and tell us about how you fell deeply in love with this holy land, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. So I was born in Sarasota, Florida in 1985. I'm 41 years old. And I came to Eretz Yisrael when I was 13, 15, 17, every other summer to visit my grandparents. My mother's Israeli, and my grandparents lived here. And I always had an affinity for Eretz Yisrael. I always, just like any regular Jew, normal Jew would feel, Eretz Yisrael is our country. It's something which is very distant. They speak Hebrew there. But beyond that, nothing more than nothing patriotic about it, nothing very spiritual about it. It was always on the map. Being that my mother's Israeli, obviously, we had some sort of culture of Israeliness in our house. I wouldn't call it Israeliness, like just maybe food, listening to Hebrew. My mother speaks in Hebrew to her siblings, sometimes also in Arabic. Once we started learning Hebrew in school. So we had exposure, very basic exposure. Obviously food, a little bit of exposure there. But other than that, Eretz Yisrael was just a place on the map. You felt proud, to see things maybe in the news or hear about Israel, but that was it. And then I came for yeshiva for my third year. After completing high school, I did 2 more years in Miami, where I'm from. And then I came to learn Medrash Shmuel. So a little bit about Medrash Shmuel for people that don't know. A lot of people do know because they either see my status, they know me, or they know Medrash Shmuel. It's that place where you do get a brainwashing, a proper kosher brainwashing from a lot of different hashkafas that you might have unfortunately picked up, very contagious hashkafas and worldviews that are not conducive to Torah learning, not conducive to Eretz Yisrael, not conducive to Yiddishkeit. And the Yeshiva does a very good job of bringing you back to your roots, back to where you belong, back to it's textual base, it's hashkafic, it's something which he's a bridge of old school European yeshiva Haredi style hashkafas synthesized with the modern Bacher's needs. If it's sports, if it's an outlet of creativity, if it's music or whatever, he allows for those things in yeshiva. At the same time, there's no releasing the obligation to learn and perform chaburas and to be involved in the yeshiva. And very, very Haredi, very, black and white and black hat and all of that, but like it's a synthesis, and he speaks to the guys. So that really spoke to me back in 2005.
Is Medrash Shmuel paying us for this podcast? Because
they're not, but I just want to explain that people understand what I'm saying. I'm going to use a lot of isms. I'm going to use a lot of things that most people that have been or understand it get what I'm saying, but some people will be like, oh, that's a new word now, triggering. I'm going to say things that are not triggers if you understand the context. So like, I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings when I say these things, but Medrash Shmuel had a certain way of like, we have a certain derech. A lot of yeshivas, it's kind of like, I'm talking about American yeshivas in Israel, it's like, a year or two. And then you go. Medrash Shmuel is like a community, and we've built together over the past 20 years the sense of Anglo community in Eretz Yisrael, where you're a ben Torah, you're learning as much as possible, and you're juggling different things. But like this is your home. You live here. You're not going. America is away. Like that's like you want to visit, you're visiting, but like this is home. So that really got me into it. At the same time, in 2005, if anyone remembers, the day after Tisha B'Av was the beginning of this war, 21 years ago, we had the Hipnatkut, which is the disengagement. Now, if you were here and if you weren't, or you weren't alive, you can watch it on YouTube, you can watch videos. It was terrible. You were watching Jews pulling Jews out of their home. In fact, the video that you did about the Hill 5-6 months ago really touched a raw nerve because we saw that on a grand scale.
I think a lot of people connected to that video on that level.
It was, a 20-year-old bacher from Miami, I'm a normal guy, came to learn for a year in Israel, and then all of a sudden you get thrown within 90 days into this and it was obviously, there was a whole hack before between different sides of are you against, are you pro? All that kind of turned me to believe that you needed to do a little bit more. I was very involved in advocacy, not even realizing I was doing that. The whole going on the Har Bayis thing, I never, went onto Har Bayis. But when I first came to Israel, I was part of this group of Mechon HaMikdash with the flags and the things we used to do, Hakafa Se'ir. We used to go around to all the different sha'arim. And I have a picture of myself from that. So all these things were there. And that's really, to answer the question, that's where I started really falling in love with wanting to be here and deciding that I'm going to stay. That third year in Medrash Shmuel, between learning Hashkafa and Eretz Yisrael and watching him, that all was like a perfect recipe for I need to be here and Israel needs me here.
All right, so we're going to ask Medrash Shmuel to go to homeboundisrael.com, make a donation for that plug. And Aviva, how was your experience in Medrash Shmuel?
I had a good experience in Medrash Shmuel. No, Medrash Shmuel is a special place because really, like you said, it's a community. And that's what makes also where we live really special because there's that balance of so many different types of people in the Medrash Shmuel community, which is just a very wholesome, simple community living in Shari Chesed, which people think, oh, Shari Chesed, wow, you must be a millionaire. I live in 65 meters, in 2.5 bedroom with 6 kids. No, 75 meters, sorry. 72 meters with 6 kids, 3 tiny bedrooms, but there's just this nice balance of just these wholesome, good people who just are really giving up everything to live in Eretz Yisrael, finding the cheapest rentals that, haven't been renovated in 50 years and because that's what's affordable and just choosing to make that decision to live in Eretz Yisrael. And so it's just really nice to be with that type of community and that type of people that are devoting their life to raise their kids here and they stay and they make it, 90-something% of them really. The ones that once they get married and stay and have kids, they're really staying. So that was really nice.
And I'll say also, just to add to that, it's a Torah community, meaning people watching might say, oh, well, like they're Tzioni or they're nothing to do with the flag or the Medina, where we're here really to learn Torah, to build communities, to build ganim, to build kindergartens, to build schools. And we did that. We built everything, infrastructure, so to speak, communal infrastructure within Shari Chesed, and we're also part of Shari Chesed. We haven't create our own separate, complete, reclusive entity where we've connected with other people outside of the community as well. So there's a greater community of Shari Chesed. And there's also a lot of Europeans. There's a lot of, there's Chabad, there's Sephardim, there's Ashkenazim, there's all types. So it's really beautiful. And there's Hasidim, and there's also people that are not religious, and not even, we used to have a lot more diplomats in our neighborhood. We had a lot of different people just rolling through. So you have this international feeling of Shari Chesed, and it's really special to raise kids where you're not in a ghetto, they're exposed to other things. So they're comfortable with who we are, and we're also comfortable to interact with the world around us. That's something very special about Shari Chesed.
I feel like in most conversations with people about Eretz Yisrael, people are always talking about this feeling of community. And I don't think that's very specific to Shari Chesed or Beit Shemesh, where we also felt like everyone was there to help. And I feel like this seems to be a universal thing in Eretz Yisrael. And then I always find it funny that you have so many people in America who complain that in Eretz Yisrael, there's so much division and a lack of community and all these things. But on the other hand, I find that everyone here is always talking so proudly about how much community there is and how so many people live together, whether you're from Yerushalayim, whether you're from Beit Shemesh, whether you live on a yishuv like we do now. There's literally no two people on this hill that are alike. We've got everything from very modern to hardcore Haredi. Chassidish. We have Chassidish. We have Srili the Chassid. He's the first Chassidish violent hilltop settler. He's going to be featured on one of the podcasts in the very near future. Okay.
I grew up with parents that made Aliyah who didn't speak a word of Hebrew. Like I grew up as that kid who would, anybody coming, bringing young kids, because I was born here, but I'm that's what I, relate to. Like I grew up with parents who didn't speak a word of Hebrew, who didn't know.
How long after your parents made Aliyah were you born?
About a year.
Oh, wow.
Not less, yeah. They met in Israel. They went back just to get married because their family was there, and they came back right away, and I was born within the year.
Have they learned Hebrew?
They still sound like very American. My mother tells this funny story. When they moved here, they just moved into their apartment, and there was a leak from the neighbors upstairs, and she's trying to figure out how am I going to go upstairs and tell these people that my ceiling is leaking and there's something wrong, and she's not sure, but she goes upstairs and she's like, hi, I just moved downstairs, and they don't speak a word of English. She's like, I think yesh petza bakinor. So petza is a wound, and kinor sounds like tzinor, but it's a violin. So that was her first introduction to the neighbors. She has a wound in her violin. But that's how I grew up. We wrote our own notes for school. My parents signed them. We could have written whatever we wanted. They had no idea. So I grew up as a kid who would, have a family who would be making Aliyah with parents who need to learn the system and the language
Was that hard for you?
And everything else. At times, yeah, because I'm saying it was embarrassing when our friends came and my mother would, speak her broken English to them and be like, just don't say anything, well, we're fine, we'll get.
That's embarrassing, don't?
Yeah.
I hope our kids don't feel that way towards that.
Yeah. Israelis, from what I understand, like when you're American, you're like the Spitz. You're from you're from America.
When you're a little kid and your friends are complete Israeli.
I see when you're little, okay.
Yeah, it's like little kids and your mother's trying to speak to them in English and she sounds ridiculous.
Are you the oldest in your family?
I'm the oldest, yeah.
Okay, so all the kids came after you.
Yeah. Listen, I always say I got the best of both worlds, I grew up in Israel. I grew up with American parents and I speak both languages. And
Are you happy your parents made Aliyah?
I'm very happy my parents.
Yeah, you're happy you were born here?
Yes. It's interesting because I was thinking about it the other day and I was thinking all this, you guys are all so passionate and all this passion. I'm like, I'm coming from a different place. You guys experienced one thing and then you came here and you have this passion because you see the difference. For me, I don't have that passion because for me, it's just so obvious. This is it. There's nowhere else to look.
To some Israelis, it's obvious, and to some Israelis, they just don't even think about it. It's just, they're just...
Right, but I'm not real. I'm saying I'm not a regular Israeli. I'm an Israeli who, who brought in American cheese, whenever anyone came, and we went shopping in the American store. So I knew what America was about, but there's never for me it's just obvious. This is where we live. This is the right thing. This is what I want. I was never searching for anything else. America is so cool. No, I get to eat American cereal in Israel.
Beautiful.
So.
Do you think if you were born when your parents moved, you would have went off the derech?
If I was born, was Western after?
If you were born, if your parents would have made Aliyah 1 year later and you were born, do you think you would have moved off the derech? You would have left the derech, or?
I hope not. I don't think so. Because I was born after they came.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, it's resolved. Check that one off the list.
Right. I think that people have challenges everywhere, wherever they live.
Right, that's what I always say.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't believe that, though.
I'm the oldest of 10, and I have a very colorful family. We have everyone's went in a little bit of a different direction. But I think you would say that about a family of 10 in most places in the world. I think so.
Well, first of all, having a conversation is amazing because people get to learn more about not only the topic of making Aliyah, but also about who's talking about Aliyah. People like many times will say like, well, who are you? Not in a bad way. They just want to, like who's talking? Like who's behind this mic? Like who are you? What's that authority that you, or what's your background, or what are your credentials? Like who are you to speak about this topic? So just to talk a little bit about making Aliyah practical and not coming from any other motivation other than we care. We want you to come here. You should want to come here, and we want to help you if you want. I'm not here to convince anybody. I told a few people yesterday that that saw different things, and they reached out to me and they said, well, you're trying to convince. I said, I'm not trying to convince anybody. I said, if once you're on the fence and you want to come, I'm there for you. I'm a resource. My wife and I are more than happy, and I'm more happy to give you many other people's resources. But if you're not interested, I cannot make you more interested in the Torah itself, than your rebbeim, than your Beis Yaakov experiences and your summer camp and all the things that you experienced at home as a child and everything that you have. Our religion, if it has not convinced you to make Aliyah today, then who am I and how am I going to do any better than the Torah itself to convince you, to persuade you?
But I don't think they've learned about it growing up. I mean,
Right.
growing
Not
up,
a thing.
Eretz Yisrael was never, ever spoken about in my home. Not for the good, not for the bad. Not until we made Aliyah.
Well, there's, I think, a difference with it being spoken about as something which, like I said in the beginning, we knew about Israel. My mother's from Israel. It's this faraway place, and it's something which is in our davening, and we learn the Torah about it, and we hear the stories from our rebbeim and our teachers. But talking about Aliyah is a relatively new concept. So it's only fair to say that at most we can expect even to hear from the younger generation, our age and younger, that we want to come. And I think you spoke about that also. Like people are contacting me, teenagers and young teenagers. That's the generation we should be focusing on, because the older generation, either they got it or they didn't.
When do you think this shift took place? That all of a sudden we went from we're still in the minus, like those of us who advocate for Aliyah, we're still this is a very new thing that's taking place, right?
We're a minority.
Yeah, this is it's not mainstream to move to Eretz Yisrael, and it's definitely not mainstream to advocate for Eretz Yisrael. Even most of the people that live here are not advocating for it. It's
right.
The
I think there are a
Haredi.
few reasons. I think it was like the anti-Semitism in Europe. I think that pushed a lot of people from Europe. And I think in America, where as America gets crazier and crazier, and their ideas and concepts and beliefs, and it's just...
So it's all anti-Semitism and wokeness. Do you think there was anything other than that started provoking this? Do you think there's any yearning?
coming from a positive place?
Yeah, everyone keeps talking about this anti-Semitism that's starting this new wave of, me and Netanel are very involved, and you guys, by default, by being wives of people who are, this encompasses our entire lives. So you guys are getting pretty involved. I don't know your situation.
I always got phone calls all the time because I speak English. I was born here, but I grew up here. I'm Israeli. About schools, about places to live. I get phone calls all the time from people, just advice, what are the school options? What are the living options? So I was always for years already, just involved in that way. So it's always nice to.
Do you find that the new wave of this new wave of both Aliyah advocacy and more people and everybody looking into Eretz Yisrael, do you think it's coming from any place other than just wokeness and anti-Semitism? Is there anybody is anyone coming because of a yearning to actually settle the land and build a base of things? Do you find? Obviously there are those people out there, but I'm saying there's those individuals, but the majority of the wave of people coming seems to be they're escaping anti-Semitism. That's what's bringing the people here. Do you think that there's anything else happening here?
Or rather, the anti-Semitism woke them up, and they're like, wait, is this how we're going to just continue life? Having people riot in the streets and stuff? What's our future supposed to look like? And then when you know your future is here, then you start learning about it. So it's not like they're getting on the plane, running for their lives.
You're saying the anti-Semitism starts the process.
But then you start oh wait, we're going to end up in Eretz Yisrael. What is Eretz Yisrael? Let me open up the Torah, right? And you read about it, and you're like, our future's here. Oh my goodness, there's this about it, and this about it, and this about it. And then you become passionate.
So I thought about it now for a few minutes. I'm really thinking, when do I think it really started to become a topic of discussion? I would say just after I came to Israel, you started to see, this is my own personal point of view, from where I was. I don't know what was going on in America because I left, but I do know that like following the years that I moved here, many more American yeshivas after the top, I don't want to say, top isn't best, but like the original 5 or 10 yeshivas that were here, all of a sudden you had programs opening up. And I'm not going to say names of yeshivas, obviously, but there were many yeshivas that opened up, and each one was catering to a slightly different type of American black and white, call it Haredi or Yeshivish Bacher. And as there was more and more exposure, I think also at the same time we had we had more internet access. Israel is still very much catching up, and we've caught up tremendously to American standards, communication, a new generation of Israelis that became more worldly. And then people in America could start relating to Israel. Israel, I think also, I'm talking from a physical, we're not talking about spiritual at the moment, just like physically became a more refined place. Like, Israel has a certain standard. I was just thinking about it on the way here, you would go shopping like the shuk, go shopping at a store, and you were terrified to buy something because if you had to return it.
No, you can't return it.
You can't return it. But I have a receipt. No, go to the yatzran, go to the person that imported or made it and deal with it with them. Now, the rules of engagement, it was like kravi. It was like fight with a store owner about something. It was crazy. Driving here was much crazier than it is now. Just the whole environment here became much more friendly, much more westernized in a positive sense. So there was much more like, hey, this is like a place that I would want to come and visit for Yom Tiv. And then more people started coming for Yom Tiv. More people started buying homes, sending their children to these other yeshivas that made it more matim for them. It was like, I can't send my son to the Mir, but I can send him to like this program. And then one guy or one new seminary for girls, and it kind of opened up their eyes, and they brought that information back home, which we can segue into a little Dvar Torah if you want, about Meiser Sheni and the whole concept. But like children bringing back Torah Eretz Yisrael, their experiences, infecting their homes with this beautiful, experience that they had, and then showing their parents like, I want to go back for a Shana Bet. And I want to start dating. I want to stay for a kollel. That wasn't a thing 30 years ago. Stay for kollel, have babies, and then have a family, and then you have to have a gan. Next thing you know, you have Rabbah Beit Shebesh. You have communities opening up all over. So like I think that helped also make Israel more of a conversation. And then I would say lastly, without going to the negative things that we discussed, which are obviously I agree with you, those are things that push people to come. But what pulled people to come, I think, was there's a certain lack. I'm also projecting a little bit about what I felt, being from Florida, being from Miami. You can have everything you have physically and still feel a little bit. Is it okay to feel a little bit like I'm missing something? I think it is. We don't have to feel like, I have to have this huge hold and a yearning for Eretz Yisrael. You can have a beautiful life in America, and I'm not bashing that. I'm not saying it's wrong, and I'm not saying I didn't have that. And many, many people I think can relate to this, and this will resonate. You can have a beautiful life. Your children have chinuch, your wife has friends, you have chevra, everyone's doing great, everything's perfect. But are you not missing something? A little something? And I think that's where people are like trying to find that little something, and they're realizing it's here in Eretz Yisrael. I think that discussion is what is prompting people to turn to, if you will, people that push or influence Aliyah, or people that live here that want and desire other Jews to come here from a positive place. I'm not coming from, a negative place, but definitely I think those two factors coming together is a perfect recipe for like mass Aliyah. People are going to start coming.
Thinking about also, I think like as we get closer, we actually getting closer to the time of Gula there. There aren't that many years left, until Mashiach has to come. And there really is that feeling like we're getting closer. Like people are like, where are we going to be?
It's palatable.
We're in the time of
we're not
Geula,
smelling it. We're not it's not in the air. You can taste Geula. I don't want to sound like I'm a Jerusalem syndrome, crazy guy. But having been here for these amount of years that I've been here, and having been in America, you don't feel the same energy, if you will, like the Geula energy. You're feeling it here. Yeah,
I think it's also a newer concept, not past few years, but like over the time, that's become a stronger feeling of like Mashiach's at our doorstep. Like we don't want to be there.
Aviva's making me think why though. This is like bringing out. This is a very deep point. I think that there's a concept of a Yid and Gullus. We feel like the Gullus has been on us. There's a certain tefillah we say right after the tashlich. The tashlich is very short. There's like this long tefillah afterwards of bakashos tachanunim you say, and part of it really discusses the gullus. You should really talk about it inside. It's one of the times of the year that I can bring myself to cry without having to cry, just by reading the words, not even being able to translate everything. Anybody out there reads that, especially with translation, you come to cry. It describes the gullus that we've been. I think there it's like maybe 16 or 1700 years, but it's almost 2,000 years of gullus. How do we not feel the burden of that gullus? And it talks about all the details there, and it's crazy, like the pogroms and the diseases and like the things we've been through, and the Jews that died, traveling overseas and in jails and prisons across inquisitions and crusades, and like. When did we have time to think about the Geula? We were trying to survive. Of course, holy Jews thought about Geula, and we were mitzapel Yeshua, and we can go to the Chavetz Chaim and to the Gra. Yes, people did think about our mitzapel Yeshua. But to live day to day, I think we have so much more time in our hands, and people are looking for some sort of like fulfillment. And when they start to find out about, influencers or, again, Geula, living in Eretz Yisrael, they latch onto it. And I think that's part of what triggers them. People are triggered because they are like, I like that. This is like engaging me. And what do we do, Michal? What do we do? We're just taking whatever's there and we're presenting it to you, and we're adding some spice. And if you like it a little bit sweet, we'll have someone present it a little bit more sweetly to you. But no one's distorting the text, and no one's misquoting anything. If you want, you can open it up. It's right there, black on white. It's on the klaf. And if it speaks to you and it's resonating with your neshama, you're gonna feel triggered. You're gonna feel like, I want that. Like a kid in a candy store. I want that. I want Geula. I want to feel like you seriously are missing out on my status. I put things, my daily life. You're missing out. You're in Orlando. You're literally in Cancun. You're enjoying your unbelievable life. And my little like spring trip to a Mayan with my kids is like, people WhatsApp me like, I wish I was there. I'm like, are you serious? You wish you were here? You're literally being like force fed like a goose for 8 days. In your Pesach program, the Eden Rock, and you're literally on your phone while I'm living my life, and you're like, I wish I was there. Oh my gosh, like, are you kidding? Why? I'll ask you why. Why do people feel that? Because that's what we're talking about, this energy. Why do people feel that?
If Modi uses Mashiach energy every few sentences, like it's in the air,
Who?
Modi, the comedian.
Modi, Rosen.
Mashiach energy. He uses it all the time. He's not religious.
He's not religious. He is a comedian, a Jewish comedian.
And in full 24/7 Mashiach energy.
Mashiach energy. If that's not Mashiach, I don't understand what is.
His parents are Israeli. And he this energy, he talks about it. Mashiach energy.
So it's in the air.
So I think that it's electric, it conducts. Like people we're like antennas, we're broadcasting or mishader.
There's a major Mashiach energy. And I think those of us who are here on the ground, who are trying to tap into it, not even trying, just by breathing the air here, you tap into it immensely. So there's those of us here we're I don't know, you and I probably we're just like Mashiach energy on heavy steroids. Like I live and breathe Mashiach. I don't think about anything else, right, Tava? We in our house we only talk about Mashiach. We talk about Beis Hamikdash, but not in the sense of like it's coming. We talk about it like we have like meetings, like with the kids. Like what do we, are we storming the Har Bayis today? Is it time? Is it not time? Should we do something smaller today? How could what else can we do? Put out more newsletters, like influence more people. So I think there's those of us here that are like feeling it hardcore, and then I find that there are people who are experiencing it around the world, and they're subconsciously they understand that in order to follow that Mashiach energy, they have to do something. So they want to fight against it. So that's where like you and I are getting constant messages by people like, just watched your last video.
What are they fighting though? Like what are they fighting? What is that?
We've been doing.
But you could have it. But you could have it. You just have to come. But you can have it.
You say we've been talking about this.
But they feel it.
We get this all the time. We get these messages of people like, I saw your status. I saw your last video. I saw this picture you posted. I felt like you went too far. And like. But how? Like I was telling
the child. It's like a child. You say, I don't know, clean your room and you get a cookie. I mean, I don't parent that way, but that type of idea. And they're like, I don't even want the cookie anyway.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
But the
your neighbor pulls up in a Lamborghini, you're like, I don't want to try and stick shift. So that's what it is. People are texting us.
I don't try and stick shift.
Right? They're like, I saw your last video, and like, I don't know, they nitpick on these weird little things. Like I'll make 10, 15 videos. Right, and one guy will he'll text me and he'll be like, you quoted this thing and you should know, like I read it. It's not clear that it says what you said in that place. There's only one parish. There's another parish that says like, I was like, oh, You're right.
Okay, so
Cancel
one
the
second.
Beis
So one
Hamikdash.
second. I don't mind. Let's go into this. Doesn't have to be. It's a conversation, so nothing necessarily has to be deep today. But there could be many conversations in the future. But let's go into one thing a little bit. When for example, we'll talk about Michal's videos. Michal, you make a video and you say, let's say, 5 very, very logical Torah-based points. Logical meaning like come to Eretz Yisrael because of X, Y, and Z. It's all based in text, based on rabbis, drushas, whatever it is. It's based on something. It's not coming out of Michal's imagination. Okay. Someone will take one of those things and isolate it, and then he will take. I'm going to use some of my own terminology. If you don't get it, just WhatsApp me. I'll explain it to you privately. Someone will take something and they will human shield themselves behind a das yachid, an adam gadol, and then they will try to get you to shoot at that gadol. I'm sorry for using these terms. Of like I think we can all relate to this.
Yeah,
and then you will. Thank God you have not yet up to today you have not yet directly hit a adam gadol or a specific rabbi. And what's happening is they're hiding behind them and hiding behind the shitas, and they're saying, just shoot this rabbi so and so. We're not going to say names. Shoot a rabbi so and so, just so I could say, you see, you're mevadet mechamim. Now I can passel you. And you see pasalecha. I'm going to put a line on. I'm going to cross you out. Now my conscience can breathe. I can breathe. I don't have to come to Eretz Yisrael.
That's exactly what happened in that interview.
That's what's happening to you. You are that Israeli soldier in Gaza, and there is a Palestinian there that's holding that hostage. They're holding the Rabbanim, and they're trying to get you to say something, but you never said.
What was the question that he asked? The big debate.
Rav Shaf.
Rav Shaf, right?
Yeah, Rav Shaf, right.
So, the very beginning of that interview, he asked me some extreme question of like, he just basically, I think he asked like, do you think every single Jew should move to Eretz Yisrael under any condition? Whatever, something like that.
You said 95%.
Yeah, I said something
like
that.
95%,
and he said openly, he's like, good.
Now we know.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows what we're dealing with. Like he made like this statement, which is exactly what you said. It's like people want to be able to like.
They're playing catch you out. And like I said again, I'll say it again for the third time. They're using human shields, and it's not fair. It's not fair to use Rabbanim, and you could also be from any persuasion. You say, well, why didn't the Lubavitcher Rebbe come? You could be a Sephardi, say, why didn't this rabbi come? And they all do it. And what they do it simply because what you're saying is true, and you're standing up for MS, and they can't take it. So they're going to try to take out of those 5 things you said. They will not address any one of them until they find the one that has the least resistance, and they will hijack it, and they will take it hostage. And they're waiting for you to just say something to be able to explode your entire argument. And they also do a lot of, and I find this also with me, they do a lot of like trying to catch you out. Like I'm trying to catch you out. It's not about me and you. This is about a conversation. And only I think if people want to have the conversation, they should engage in it. Otherwise they can just be a spectator. Again, I'll go back to what I said before. I believe in advocacy. I don't believe in persuading people to do it, because you cannot persuade someone to do something that our Torah itself and our Rabbanim and our entire history has not been, and our entire Beis Yaakov and modern yeshiva system can't do. How could you and I do that? It's up to the person to step up to the plate, become intellectually honest, have the conversation, and if it's the chinuch, the children, the wife, the parents that are in Chutz La'aretz, whatever it is, that and the parnasa, they're all legitimate discussions. When you're ready to have a discussion, you come and talk about it. You want to join the team? You find yourself a good coach. And then you work your way up to where you want to be able to get into the major leagues, and then you join the team, you join the club. But until then, you're just a spectator in the stands. You're not interested in playing the game. You don't want to get involved. You don't want to be on the field. You don't want to get dirty. You don't want to get injured. You don't want to get hurt. And it's understandable. But we all have to be realistic about being on the side is just being a spectator, and you're not going to enjoy what we do on the field if you're just spectating.
Do you feel like you get this pushback a lot?
So I engage with a lot of people, and I only do it like in between things or simultaneously while I'm doing something else. So a lot of what I'll get is just based on what I'm doing. So sometimes yes, sometimes less. If I'm reposting a lot of other people's content, which is mostly what I'm doing. I don't put very much of my own individual content about Geula or about Mashiach or about living here. So I will get on your content, on other people's content. People will say, well,
you'll
why
take my full podcast, you'll cut it up into 37
I'll slice
videos.
Up some videos, which, well,
and you post so many statuses.
How do you not post every point your husband makes? Michal makes every point is a gem. And if you have a fancy diamond ring with a bunch of gems, how can you cut the ring in half?
Well,
I'm not trying to give you any sort of like,
right
no, it's because what you do is you are able to articulate to the people, and you do it a little pinkanti, a little bit harif about it. And to some people like me, it speaks to me.
You should know,
Where's your flakes hot sauce, you know? Like,
you should know, I'm not harif.
No, you're not. But to them,
you don't. Nobody has ever seen me Harif because I'm Harif, but not on camera. Okay. I tone it down as much as I can. All I do is the only thing that makes me more Harif than other people is I actually just say the truth. Most other people, they just say, okay, the truth. They look at the Torah, right? You can open up Sefer Yecheskel, Sefer Yeshayahu, right? Got here. We're going to be starting, by the way, for the viewers out there, we're going to be starting very soon our shir on Sefer Yeshayahu. It's going to be big. It's going to be big for me at least. I'm excited to go through Sefer Yeshayahu. Be in whatever. Yeah, like it's the truth. Like if I open up, I mean, the prophets were Harif. I mean, there's a reason Menashe cut his grandfather's head off. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason that they took Yirmiyahu and they shechted him, right? And in the base of Mikdash.
And the blood boiled until Nebuchadnezzar shechted Nebuchadnezzar, sorry, shechted the butcher. It was called the butcher.
And then he became Jewish.
108,000 is
whole crazy thing. But anyway,
that's why we don't learn this stuff.
Nobody knows. No, you should know. Nobody knows what we just.
Can I tell you something?
I just want to say. I want to finish this piece.
Sure.
Were they Harif? No, they just said the truth. They were told what to say by God. They said it. Klal Yisrael couldn't handle it, so they cut their heads off. That's what. There's a reason. The prophets were being slaughtered by the masses.
Aliyah Navi had to hide in a cave and be fed by a raven because he was being sought after. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, if you wanted to hate Yiddishkeit and you wanted to not come to Eretz Yisrael, read Tanakh. Yeah. Opposite. If you read Tanakh, then you're like, those are my ancestors. Those were the Israelites. Those were the Jews that built Bayis Rishon and lived here during Bayis. You look at, the Jews were we were some of the craziest people. So if you want to be turned off from Yiddishkeit, read Tanakh. If people think that it's going to be any different tomorrow than it was yesterday, we're living in, and this might be more according to the Rambamists, people that are more practical and pragmatic, not these, like you were talking about the eagles and the holy, things. But being practical, I said to someone last night, just for an example, someone said to me, what do you think about the dollar? It's gone down, it's less than $3. So I said, well, it's going to cost you more to buy a house. He goes, well, don't you believe that everyone coming to Eretz Yisrael, when Mashiach comes, will be entitled to their nachala, to their ancestral homeland? I said, you want land? Ask Michal. We don't lack land. Look around the Giva. We got tons of land. Who's going to build your house for you? Where, you going to bring a bunch of slaves here? Who's just building? You have to build your house. Well, you think your house is going to maybe.
That's the problem. Nobody thinks
people
about
think
any of these things.
maybe Beis HaMikdash will come down. You want to go to the Mandamar, says the Beis HaMikdash will come down. It's missing a door. Let's talk about Beis. What about your house? You'll have your nachla. Who's gonna farm your land for you? You're gonna farm it by yourself?
Even the people that think there are people we've met these people, right? So we've had people from Lakewood who literally looked at us and said, "Why do I need to come now? We all know that our houses will fly here when Mashiach comes."
Does your car and your yacht also fly with you?
No, so I said,
right, you get the pool also?
I said, who's going to pack for you?
Right.
So
Aliyah Navi packs for you.
Maybe we don't need to pack.
Maybe we don't need to pack. Right, that's the thing.
We don't need to pack.
They don't think about it.
Right.
So even what you're saying, it's like, okay, let's say your house is going to fly here. But if you think about it, if your house flies here and then it drops 500 feet out of the sky, who's going to reassemble it? And
also, we use 220 electricity here.
You think it's going to fly here and also land perfectly exactly on the rest? Right. What if it lands and it's halfway in your neighbor's nachala? So now you got to reconstruct the whole thing. So if you want to go down that weird, kindergarten fantasy mode.
Well, it's a binyan av. They extrapolate from if the Beis HaMikdash, according to some, is going to come down from the skies, and so will my house, and so will everything else apparently. And as we accumulate more and more gashes, people also, I think we have we have so much to talk about. This has to be a series. This will be a series.
So even according to the people who believe in all the miracles, think about the details.
People are not practical. People are very impractical about Gula. It's a crazy thing.
They think Aliyah Navi's going to be there okay, this is your spot, okay? Bring the house right here. Then they turn to Shloimi from Borough Park. Good. The Seder, he looks inside. The sheetrock cracked. He's yelling at Aliyah.
And let's say your house is on Derech Hashem, just beyond Michal's house. We should show them this afterwards where you live. Who's going to pave the roads to get to your house and the lighting and the park for the kids? And what about the gun?
Going to pave the roads also.
The whole chutzah, the whole Brooklyn and Lakewood is going to plots themselves down into Eretz Yisrael.
Ooh.
I'd be like,
Nisan, before we started this particular piece,
yeah.
The trigger warning on the
trigger warning
on the trigger. We have the people out there don't know. They think you post things on your status and they're like, oh, that's triggering. I make videos and people are like, well, that's triggering. What they don't know is that here in Eretz Yisrael we have meetings. We have trigger meetings where we actually discuss how can we trigger Lakewood folk as much as possible. And like we share things. We're like, yo, I just thought of this great idea. What if I use this word instead of that word? And we're like, way more triggering. Let's do that. So just so the people out there know, how are we so good at triggering people? It's a group effort. A lot of work goes into Red Dova. These are discussions.
We have clandestine meetings in basements. We could wrap up this section. I just think that that Geula, because this is very important, I think that we have to talk about it, and it should be continuously spoken about. Geula is one of the less practically thought through topics in Judaism, mitzvahs in Judaism. People don't think about it in a practical way. People don't talk about it. It's a very, and I think because, back to what we were saying before, that because of the gullahs, because of the, people were so Torah and just surviving, we were just so involved, like just breathing, you couldn't like plan Geula. The Chavetz Chaim planned Geula by having a bag packed by his door. And that was huge for his time. If the Chavetz Chaim would have had the opportunity that we have, which he obviously didn't, he was nifta right before World War II, then he would have definitely have had, roundtable meetings with other Rabbanim, how to really make it happen that in a practical way. Now that you have a state.
Did you just say this is who?
The Chavetz Chaim.
Right. He tried to get her
he
four
had that bag.
times. He tried to move her
right.
four
so
times.
What was
and
his
that's
practical?
Long before Eretz Yisrael was built up or anyone was here.
But he made it practical. He breathed and spoke, like you mentioned, in your own home. Like he implemented Geula type feelings and discussions.
If he tried to get on a ship 4 times, you can imagine he was constantly planning for this. Like this was like at the forefront.
So when did the rabbis, and I'm asking this for a friend, because I already asked my shaila, not really, I didn't ask a shaila. I decided that it says in the Torah, I'm moving here, this is it. Like I'm making it happen. But to those that have a shaila, I have a shaila for them. When did it become a rabbinical matter to not discuss or promote Geula, moving to Eretz Yisrael? Like when did it stop? Baal Shem Tov, Talmidei Agra, the Chavetz Chaim, and others. When did that stop? At what point? In 1940, 1941, 42? When did it stop? 48? At what point did the Rabbanim, I don't know, I don't have the answer to this question. I'm asking for a friend.
Maybe as the Geula came closer, the Satan got stronger.
So that is definitely one of our, very basic answers for most things in life, because once you have a certain push for something positive, the Satan has to keep it in equilibrium. Otherwise, it'll just take over. People won't have a choice.
I have many ways to explain this, but I could explain it, in a childish way like this. If you
you keep shaking the bench.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, see? I shtickle Shambayis here on the camera. Oh, I do. I shake the bench a lot. I'm sorry.
It's like I'm vibrating.
Don't shake the bench. Don't shake
your
the
pad.
bench.
That's one of your rules.
Literally vibrating.
Don't shake the bench. Eretz Yisrael used to be, it was impossible to get here. The biggest Gedolim wanted to come and they couldn't. So Hashem, on its own, it was hard. Now it's so easy to come, but Hashem doesn't let good things like that just happen easily, because there has to be that fight. Otherwise you don't get the schar if you don't have the fight for it. So the easier Eretz Yisrael became, like you said, the harder the Satan is fighting against it. Like that
but overall,
makes sense.
No, absolutely, it absolutely makes sense.
Okay, but for those that are
there's
more
sometimes
connected.
a yearning for something sometimes becomes more enjoyable than that.
But what about if you're a connected person and you learned about Eretz Yisrael and you went to a good Beis Yaakov system and you had good experiences with your summer
Then the
camps?
rabbi says no.
Well, I think that when a person comes to Eretz Yisrael, or maybe especially in the beginning, when the more, I think that there might have been, and I wasn't alive, maybe there was some sort of upset with wait, it's going to happen like this? Like we're not going to have it like that? Like the way that we're mitzapel Yeshua like this, and we're getting it like that? Like it's coming through like a secular state? We're going to be receiving it like chopped up?
But they're the ones that came.
Right, I'm not
The
criticizing.
secular people are
I'm
the
just
ones that
saying that,
came
you wake up in the morning and then it's not like the biggest rabbanim are in the front, and we're not going to be, schlepping the kelim to be able to build the Beis Hamikdash. We're not. It's not happening the way that I thought it was going to happen. So, you know what? It's not the geula. You know what? I'm still in Gullus. I'm gonna run away to America, to South America, to France, to Australia, and I'm gonna stay there for 75, 80 years. And in the meantime, the Jews that did come, and they did build, and they came with tremendous hardships. The people that came here in the beginning were chalutzim, they were pioneers.
But I don't think that that's true, because you have in Mitzrayim, it did happen the big grand way with the Makkos and the splitting of the sea, and 4/5 or more still decided to stay behind.
But they still have
it's just
to
a complete.
fight.
It's a comfortable thing. They're just this is what I'm used to, and I don't want change. I don't want change.
It's a terrorist, but I just understand the mindset of who I'm talking with and who I'm having a conversation with to be able to understand their point of view. Because otherwise, if you don't understand the other person's point of view, there's no way to even have a communication with them. Again, we're not trying to convince them and I'm not trying to hypnotize people to move here. You don't want. But if you want to have a conversation about it, understand why are you just not? Have you ever had? Have you ever had a discussion with someone who's Chinese over Chinese food on a Chinese Shabbos about moving back to China? It's like the weirdest thing, right? But you could have a Shabbos meal and you're eating Shabbos food with someone who's Jewish about moving back to Eretz Yisrael. It's the weirdest thing. And like they're pushing back at you. It's like, you know, and a Chinese person might say, oh, I would love to visit the homeland. And a Japanese will, oh, I'd love to have sushi from whatever the city is. And you talk to people about their, you know, nostalgia. But you talk to a Jew about, would you love to come back to Eretz Yisrael and maybe like bring the Karma Pesach or like celebrate the Yom Tovim here or bring a family up and raise them in Eretz Yisrael? And they're like, yeah, it sounds nice. Like, I think when Mashiach comes, but like right now I'm like twirling my iced coffee from Starbucks. Like, are you serious? Or I would love to do that, but like, I'd love to come back to our homeland, but I'm enjoying my Amazon Prime. Like, are you serious? It's a little bit weird, no? That like you.
Yeah, it's when we first were exiled. When we were exiled. Well, the truth is, I shouldn't even say that because, like, again, even after the first base of Mikdash, in the first exile, they were only out of Eretz Yisrael for 70 years, right? And then they were allowed
because they came back,
right? And then they were allowed
earlier.
Back, and you still see the majority of people did not want to come back. So it's not even like I was gonna say, like, you know, we got used to it.
When they came back at all?
Fight with who?
I'm saying take over the land.
Yeah, for sure. They have to fight with a lot of people.
Right. So the same thing of how they left Mitzrayim and the Meraglim that whole.
They did have.
We're having the same thing with the secular government.
Well, the secular government is not an outside force of ourselves. It's ourselves. It's our brothers and sisters that just haven't found the correct path or are choosing not to choose it. The ones that do know better, and like that's in and of itself. That's not an issue for me. I rarely relate to the state when it comes to living here. I really believe that if I focus on being here, I focus on the people that want to be here. When I talk to them, I'm able to coach them into what they need to know and give them all the advice that I know. And if I don't know, I'll make it up. I'm just kidding. I'll direct them to the right people that do know more than me, and I'll network them. Once they're here, I'm not gurus the state as like, oh, this is my government and I believe in it and all of that.
No. What I'm asking is, you were saying that people think that, you know, the Geula and the Beis HaMikdash and everything is glitter and butterflies and everything.
I thought it was going to be,
but
and
in
then
the past
1948.
it hasn't been. When they first came and they left,
So
it hasn't
that's
been.
interesting.
So why can't you look at the history and say, okay, when we came to Eretz Yisrael, we fought against this nation and did this and this and this.
People believe this time it'll be different. People tell me that. Well, this time it'll be different.
100%. But where are they getting that from?
From their own imagination and desire. They want to be comfortable. They want to
So
believe.
it's their imagination.
We are
Some
very
tweaking.
their imagination together with taking a chazal out of context and saying, you know, al kanfei nisharim. Okay, I could put you on a plane. You want first class? Well, you know, someone will come around with some good food. We bring as many bags as you want of all your chazarai from Chutz La'aretz, and we'll give you a really nice home in Jerusalem. And
I think realistically, although there's many ways to explain this phenomenon of like being able to come back, not wanting to come back, even though like we know that this is our ultimate goal and mission. I think that there's a lot of ways to explain this. We were comfortable, or it's too new, or it didn't happen the way we wanted it to. But at the end of the day, being that you can't apply those same reasons to the Meraglim, who it was not comfort. Their entire thing was leaving Mitzrayim and going to Eretz Yisrael, and the Meraglim didn't want to go. The Jews didn't want to leave Egypt. The Jews who were exiled by the first Beis HaMikdash, right, 70 years later, nobody wanted to return by the second Beis HaMikdash. They couldn't have been. I mean, okay, maybe in 70 years you can get a little comfortable, but they were exiled into Bavel. Like, how comfortable can you get?
Well, they were
70 years?
comfortable that there were many of them were intermarried.
No, but I'm saying
right?
from the Meraglim, I think from the Meraglim and from the Exodus, the Yetzias Mitzrayim, from all those things, I think that you have to understand that even though there's a lot of psychological reasons why people didn't want to return, I think it has to come down to the fact that there is a special Satan that was created to stop Jews from getting to Eretz Yisrael. And that's the only way you can explain all these things, because any reasons you can apply, like I just said, to nowadays, you can't apply those things to Yetzias Mitzrayim, to the Meraglim, and not necessarily to the return with Ezra and Nehemiah. So I think there has to be this, and then also you have again this crazy thing that's taking place with, like we discuss a lot, the Rabbanim. You know, like it's like there's so many people that want to come, and the rabbis are telling them not to come. So it's like, what's the deal with that? Like that also doesn't fit into all these explanations.
That's crazy.
It can only be.
That's another chapter. That's crazy. I had a discussion with a friend from high school who I've been friends with for 25, 30 years. Wow. And I feel very close to him still, and he feels very close to me. He came from high school, from Mechino, South Florida. Shout out to Mechino, South Florida. Mom has changed my life to have learned in like a proper high school that wasn't anti-Tzioni.
Maybe they could also drop a donation.
And And,
We're desperately
it was,
trying to raise money here.
We didn't notice.
We didn't notice.
I'm not being like overly bearing here. Right?
No, it's great.
It's totally chill. It's just, yeah.
You know, I was sidetrack on a sidetrack. I was reading about how people view Eretz Yisrael as one big pushka. Someone once told me 21 years ago, he told me, Eretz Yisrael, it's one big pushka. I said, but it's a pushka that doesn't stop giving. People think that by giving to Eretz Yisrael, they're giving tzedakah to Eretz Yisrael. But no, everyone forgets that Eretz Yisrael is the source of everything good that the world has. Yeah. And therefore, yes, Hashem doesn't need your donations. If you don't want to give, the money will go to the cause it's meant to go to. It's a famous story.
God is also a giant pushka. I mean, like, what does God tell us? Do a bunch of things for me. Like what? My entire life is me doing mitzvahs for God. So God is a pushka. No, because he gives, so you give something back in return. That's 100%. That's the entire purpose of life. That's a relationship, exactly. I give you, you give me. That's Eretz Yisrael.
Exactly. So what's the problem with that? Oh, it's one big pushka, and the mezalzel, because it's one big pushka. So, looking at Eretz Yisrael and thinking about, first of all, you tell people something, and then, like we said before, you'll say 5 good points, and one of them will be a rabbi that someone wants to now use against you. So then he'll say, well, he's bashing the rabbanim, and then you'll say, well, which rabbis am I mentioning? And then they'll say to you, I don't know, which ones were you referring to? And then you'll have to say to them, well, whichever ones you're referring to. Meaning, it now it's become like a touche. Like it's like it's not personal. Like if you want to come. If you're being bothered by something, but then we digressed. My friend and I digressed into like, who are these rabbis, whoever they are, to tell a Yid not to come back to Eretz Yisrael? With what authority? And I don't know who they are. And no one's ever told me a name of someone. But if they do, I would like to know. I want to ask them a question very sincerely and very respectfully. Have you lived in Eretz Yisrael? And if you did you live in Ramat Eshkol Shana Rishona? Did you live here and raise a family here? Did you create mostos? Did you settle the land? Or you just came for a visit? Did you learn in yeshiva here? Like, what is your experience to be able to say, this Yid doesn't belong in Eretz Yisrael?
Because it's too hard.
People say, no, my rabbi doesn't say not to move to Eretz Yisrael. They say now's not the right time. Why? Because I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and what do rabbis tell everyone now? They say, wait till, I hear this from everyone all the time, wait till your kids grow up. Okay, so when my kids are grown up
Then
and
you
I
have
have
all the
15 grandchildren, so then I'm going to leave?
No one's going anywhere.
It's
Exactly.
people tell me, my rabbi told me when my kids are all married, then I should come. So again, we're going back to the whole
So what, you're
flying
65,
here.
70 years
just
old?
stop and think for a second. Yeah, so you're 50 years old, you've married off all your kids, everything you have is now in America. All of your grandchildren, and now you're going to, exactly. So it's like, that's the core here, and that's what my entire platform is all about. Just think. Just open up a sefer and think for a second. And so when I'm gonna teach Sefer Yeshayahu to the fans here, okay, to the viewers, people are gonna be very triggered. Okay, you know why? It's gonna be very charif. And like I was saying before, because I'm not going to read a pasuk from Sefer Yeshayahu, and then when the prophet says, the God was angry with the Jewish people because they didn't return, I'm not gonna look at the camera and do what a rabbi does and say, see, Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to yearn for Eretz Yisrael. No, he wants you to come to Eretz Yisrael, and if you don't, he will smite you. Oh, it's like that's intense because we're so used to people lying about what it says in the Torah that all of a sudden you say anything that the Torah actually said. You know what always pisses me off? a lot of things. Almost. No, I don't like this whole. Again, now this is obviously like I'm not saying this halachically. Okay, everyone chill. This concept of like reading the curses in the Torah quietly, that's like, to me, that's like the telltale sign of where we're holding as Klal Yisrael. It's like, oh, this is scary. So everyone, there's no Trump, right? So everyone's like quiet, trying to space out. Like no one wants to get that Aliyah. It's like, what are you hiding from? It should be the loudest part. It should be because God is saying, if you do this, you will eat your own children. You should yell that really loud because I want to know that if there's something that's going to put me in a position where I'm going to have to eat my own kids, I want to know about that. But again, that's this whole new outlook of Klal Yisrael of just anything that's scary or difficult. Let's just hide it. Let's whisper it. Let's get rid of it.
It's the whole outlook of the world these days. No.
It's true. It's true. Western society
you're creating Aliyah snowflakes. To borrow from Ben Shapiro, he talks about leftist snowflakes. Leftist snowflakes. Come on, guys.
Leftist tears.
Leftist tears. All types of leftist things. So leftist snowflakes are people that are they're like pansies, like these little flowers, and like, oh, you said I'm melting. Like, oh, you can't say that to me. It's like all about being like politically correct. I'm a snowflake. Like you are creating a cyclical self-generated gullus that you've brought upon yourselves because you had the opportunity to leave. 2 boats in a helicopter, the famous joke, right, with the flood and the guy's on the roof, and Hashem says to him after he dies in the flood, he says to him, well, I was such a good person, why didn't you save me? He says, I sent you 2 boats in a helicopter, you didn't want to, meaning we have to make that little jump, that little, like, drive to JFK or whatever your local airport is and hop on the plane. It's like the most unbelievable experience. I cannot imagine anything better than that, than like the Nani Akavod bringing us like literally to the border of Eretz Yisrael. I mean, what could be better than that, right?
Yeah. I would say such a sad thing is also nowadays there's so many communities or schools and stuff that cater to Anglos.
Absolutely.
That there's some high schools that are only teach English because they're not going to even put the Hebrew language on them because they want the kids to integrate.
Can I ask you a question? Why is it that the Anglos, and I mean this is another topic, but we could just touch on all the topics today and we can get into it at different times. But I think that like the Anglos are so arrogant. I said this on my status. People got like so triggered. We are such arrogant people, and I'm talking about myself. Like I'm an American. I am. And I'm so, we are so arrogant because why was it like, okay, why did the Ethiopians like have to be cargo lifted here? Like airshipped from Ethiopia, and the Russians escaped, from the USSR, and all the other like immigrations that came, like my own mother, she was in a Ma'abara for a few years, she lived in a tent, like why are the Americans the only ones like, oh, we're waiting, like what, we are the Nesiim, like we're waiting for the whole Mishkan to be built, and we're going to bring our little, whatever, we're going to do a cause match, okay? Whatever Moshe Rabbeinu can't manage to gather on his own, we're going to fill in the gap, just tell us where to sell the money. Like, such arrogance. Like, Americans, you know what? You're given a huge schos. We're given a huge schos. We have the greatest economy and society since the Romans. And to just say, look, I'm done. Like, we finished. The buffet is over. Take whatever you want and just come. No one's saying don't bring it. Bring it. You want to bring it, pack a container and come. It's not by foot from Taiman. It's not an airlift. You're not leaving everything in USSR. It's red carpet. This is it. In my opinion.
I've heard so many Americans say, like, if we all came to Eretz Yisrael, like, who would support you guys?
Oh, thank you so much. But we don't need that. I'm sorry. Hashem
You
knows
literally
how to
could've-
deal with mine and everyone else's parnassa here and everything else. Just like Hashem gives people parnassa.
The people in America need to
Timbuktu,
know something
you got
very
parnassa
clear.
here
The
too.
only reason that Jews in America right now
So
are still
arrogant.
making any money
Americans are so arrogant.
is because
To support us.
is because God in his unlimited mercy, right? If Jews would not help support other Jews if Jews in America wouldn't help support Jews in Eretz Yisrael, Hashem would probably smite them at this point for being so arrogant and not coming. So God gives them this little way out. He gives them money and he says, okay, at least you'll have a little schus in Eretz Yisrael by helping people in Eretz Yisrael, by help supporting things in Eretz Yisrael. And through that, you'll be able to survive a few more years until you get here.
It's a very nice point you're making because I think that Yossi spoke about that. I thought that was really great. He said that schus comes from the word like suchit, to like purify yourself through your deeds. Many times we misuse the word schus. I thought that was great. We misuse the word schus. We think, oh, schus. A schus is something that you do, a schut. It's something that you have purified yourself to be able to be zoche to something. I'm paraphrasing and I'm using a little bit of a different context here, but I think that that's amazing. Meaning, it's a schus for you. If you're not going to be here, if you're going to be an armchair Zionist, so to speak, and you're going to sit there and just like you want to throw money at the cause because you're not going to be on the front line, so like bevakasha, like that's your tafke. That's beautiful. You want to be a machzik Torah. That's beautiful. You can't learn all day. That's fine. But like, don't kick the sukkah on the way out. Like, don't be that guy who says, "Oh, it's too hot in the sukkah. I'm going to kick Eretz Yisrael." Like that's just like that's not Jewish. Like that's not our religion. I don't understand it. So for me, when I deal with Anglos in general, especially American Anglos, I feel that once they've lost that like that sort of like elitistness, then they're ready to start talking about Aliyah and make it more practical. Yes, I'm going to be an immigrant. I'm going to do a job that I never would have done in America. I'm actually going to do a lot of things around my house because I don't have a maid. I'm going to do a lot of things that I wouldn't have done in my day-to-day because it's done for me. And it's going to work. It's going to be great. And my kids will be immigrant children.
And if you're a big Talmud Chacham in America, you're going to come here. And you might not be the biggest Talmud Chacham.
You know why?
People here are on a much higher level.
Because tens of thousands of people that I'll give a hitch, a tremp in Israel to them, and we will be in the car like I was this morning after Shachris. Some bacher said this to me. I drove him 2 minutes up the road. I said, "What are you learning? Which sugya?" The simple Yidden here, no matter what they're dressed like, know so much more than the simple Yidden there. Even the Masorati here knows much more than like, that not religious cousin who came to your Pesach Seder. You know what I mean? Like
I found in America
like,
when I was starting to learn Tanakh, I love Tanakh. So like I would like quote a pasuk. Something would happen and I'd be like, this reminds me of that pasuk, and I would quote a pasuk to a friend of mine in America. And the average response of people in America to a quote from a pasuk in Tanakh is, what? Over here, I quote a pasuk of Tanakh. The average response is, I just read a redak on that. Yeah, it's just,
Or
it's like,
you'll
of course
start
I
the
know that,
pasuk
but
and
I have this amazing.
They'll finish the pasuk for you.
Yeah, like they get excited.
Hashem
They get-
Yishar Mistam Chelei, like boom.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this is not a. I know that as our good friend Rev Ephraim Goldberg, Aliyah Snob,
Rabbi
right?
Ephraim Goldberg,
we have a lot of respect for Rev Ephraim. All right.
I wonder if you saw my status. Where you got that word from? About Aliyah.
So Aliyah Snob, or they were talking about the self-righteous. There are Aliyah Snobs, and there are self-righteous people who, whatever happens in their life, they think they're better than they are, and whatever. But the fact is, Jews here are on a higher level. It's not because the Jews here are better.
Are you saying that we're not on a higher level over there? Are you putting me down?
And if somebody's offended by this, they're simply offended by the Torah. Right, because we have clear quotes.
What are you trying to imply?
I'm trying to imply that we are better.
Yeah.
It's not, again. This is Torah, because if somebody says that Jews in Eretz Yisrael and Jews in America are equal, that would actually be a statement of kfira, because the Torah says exactly the opposite. The Torah says that the people in Eretz Yisrael are greater, the Chachamim in Eretz Yisrael are greater, the air in Eretz Yisrael makes you wise. The Torah comes from Eretz Yisrael.
And all the
There's
Chazal,
we could post 100 things on the screen right now.
But
It's
let
just
me,
the way it is.
okay, but 1 second. But if something is attainable, let's say you and I can have the same thing, and I choose to have it, and you continuously, simultaneously, parallel to my life and your life, choose not to. It's still there. At any moment, any of these people that can come and have everything that you have, and let's face it, so much more. People say to me, like, who are you? Oh, what? Who are you to tell people or advise people on something you never did? You came as a single bacher when you were 20. Your wife's Israeli. How your in-laws live in Eretz Yisrael. You didn't go what we go. You haven't gone what we went through.
Yes, why are we?
And I say to them, I said, which doctor had the disease? How many doctors had the disease before they started treating that patient? How many lawyers ever had that lawsuit against them before they had to represent someone in that law? That's such a disingenuous straw man type argument. It's just like, it's beyond me how people have any sort of intellectual honesty when they talk to me like that. And they say, oh, you're not qualified. Let me tell you something. Living here for 21 years.
You aren't qualified. Neither is the Rav who doesn't
Thank
plan
you.
on moving in. That's what I wrote in the chat. Ask the people who've done it.
Don't cut that. That's what I wanted to say.
Ask the people who've come with the teenagers.
What makes you think
100%. No,
Ask the
Chas
people who've
v'shalom.
come with the elderly parents.
Yes.
If you want to come with
Yes.
elderly parents. Ask the people who had to switch their jobs, or if you have to switch your
By
jobs.
the way,
Ask
I'm just
people
going to say
who've
for the
done it.
camera, for the record, and for the YouTube algorithm, it is just as hard, albeit it's obviously packaged in a different way, to be a single bacher and to decide to pick up your whole future in front of you and to shift that future to here. Obviously, I hadn't done it yet, but you know that at 20 or 21, you're going to play out a different future for yourself if you move away from Miami Beach, Florida, and move to Shari Chesed, Israel. It's a completely different trajectory of your life. And you're going to start only dating girls that are American Israeli or Israeli. That's a totally different shalom bayis. You're building a totally different home, a totally different direction. And I think that if people wanted to make that decision, they could have, and they still can now. It doesn't make a difference where you are in your life. Everybody has their own tools. Meaning, if you're coming from America and you're already set up, like, so you've already gotten married, you've already set up your family, you have your financials, you come here.
What would you say were some of the most difficult challenges of marrying an Israeli?
So I think that
I'm joking. No, you don't have
he's off. We're joking. He's off.
No. This is just connected to the camera. I think Netanel, I think you and I, we've already fully accomplished our triggering triggers, and all the people yeah. I would say as we speak, but this is not being released just yet. But as people are watching this, they're already sending you a WhatsApp. They're sending me a WhatsApp. Say something feminine, female. Give a female voice to the Aliyah advocacy.
A female voice to the.
What was it like? What was it like raising children in Eretz Yisrael? Give us a short answer of raising children in Eretz Yisrael. The wholesomeness. Did you find it was hard? Did you find the education system was good? Did you find that there's the schools, there's, people understand that in the schools here, there's more, Israelis have more chutzpah and more intensity or whatever, for lack of better words. You guys want to talk about this for a second?
You? Me?
You start.
Okay.
Don't be shy. There's only a few thousand people watching you right now.
Well, we did move with kids who were in the American school system, and then we put them here, which did not go very well, unfortunately. So now we homeschool them, and and it was really the best decision. I think regarding wholesomeness, simpleness. I mean, come on, in America, every single Sunday we went to Sky Zone, Climb Zone.
Arcades. It was like Chalamayit, forget about it. It's
Yeah.
like if you didn't bring your kids to Six Flags on Chalamayit, your kids are the biggest. Like you can't send your kids
Never.
to school
Losers.
Yeah.
after Sukkot and you didn't go to Six Flags. Like
What are they going to talk
say?
about?
Yeah.
What are they
Here
gonna
at
say?
Chalamoid, we have people coming to visit. My kids give them golf cart rides. They play outside. There's so much more wholesomeness, and I think they're much more connected to the source, like why we're even here, like in this.
Connected to life. There's just less distractions. It's just so much better. So much better.
It's funny. I can say the same thing, even though people think it's funny. Like I live in Shari Chesed. Like that's the place where people come for sukkahs, like Shari Chesed, and I don't have donkeys in my backyard.
Not yet.
But my kids also grew up just wholesome and simple and low expectations and like even if you don't live on a hilltop, even if you live in the middle of Shari Chesed, you can still raise your kids like that, self-entertainment and going on trips and going on hikes and going to the park and having a barbecue and whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's available. It's easy. The kids can do things on their own. My daughter just went camping. She's 18. They went camping. Yom Ha'atzmaut didn't have school, so they went to the separate beach on the Kinar and they brought tents and their amgazit and they
Separate beaches, something they
separate
don't have.
beach, yeah, and they
I think Bar Park has a separate
and like
beach.
I know
but-
that she's
Other than
she's
Bar
doing
Park.
Borough Park.
yeah, and she's safe and she's in a wholesome environment and she's doing amazing things, and my other daughter went to Netanya with her cousin and they spent the night in Netanya.
I think it's amazing. I just want to say
More
that
simple.
sending your kids, like I'm sure in America also teenagers go on the B6 and in Flatbush or whatever buses that whatever they are, or the trains. But like here, literally sending our kids on the buses, the trains, I feel very comfortable with that. I feel that there's a lot more freedom at a younger age. Obviously, a responsible freedom. And the threshold, like we took our kids to do a barbecue overlooking Mitzpeh Yericho one night. It might have been during like COVID or something. So we had to get out.
It's the
Whatever
most
it was.
exciting thing.
It was like, wow. And I'm gonna take them to one of my touristy spots that I go to with tourists normally, and we'll like be on a table making a thing. It's like pitch black, look at the stars, and we make a little fire and do s'mores. And then what's like the highlight? We went to the gas station on the way back, the most expensive place to buy drinks. I let all my children buy a little drink, a little bottle, a little can. They were so happy. The threshold is so low. You can be so happy with the same amount of gashmias it'll take, and you're still not. The buffet doesn't fill you, And they still remember, like my daughter, she's 17. She sent me a picture last night of Shalom Falafel. She said, remember you used to take us to this Shalom Falafel once a week? And then go to the deer park, which is in Jerusalem. We have a park with deer. It's like, that's like yeah, the kids are just so
Memories.
so wholesome. And
In America, people are packing out,
simple.
going to malls, going to
Consumerism.
going to Six Flags for
Crazy.
Chalamayit. Here on
It's
Chalamayit, where does everyone go? Everyone packs a blanket, has a picnic at the park.
Picnic at the park. You go on a
Yerushalayim.
hike.
Oh my gosh, gone soccer.
That's it.
Being
Gone
that's
soccer.
Manim.
Woo!
Wow.
3
I
o'clock in the
morning.
morning. You think it was like
Yeah.
4 o'clock in the afternoon. All these little kids running around.
Mangals, and there's a guy with a karaoke. Remember that guy with a karaoke? He was singing to himself, just enjoying himself. And I ask people, I say to Americans, and I ask on my status, and someone's like, well, if you have meat boards and wine, of course you're happy. And I'm like, Israel, I don't know how honest that statistic is, but it's reported all the time in the not Jewish world that Israel's like number 8 in the world of like happy people. I mean, either they're all lying or like we're like just you're happy.
War every other day.
Yeah.
You're just like happy. And
The
I
only
feel
reason
that-
we're not number 1, by the way, is because we have 2 million Arabs living in this country. No, I'm not joking. And only
they're the
God
ones that are
knows.
not happy.
Arabs are the Arabs are the top of the saddest countries in the world. Are all like the saddest countries in the world are like Afghanistan, Iraq.
Yeah, they're repressed, they're suppressed, and I think that raising kids here.
And as by the way, that's and Israel. If you took away the Arabs, we'd be number 1. And that is understanding that we are a country that has been in a nonstop war since our establishment 70, 80 years ago, whatever calculation is.
Crazy.
I just want to say about schools, like even though I grew up here and I knew the system, we had normal challenges like anyone does, where to send, what the best place for their kid is, and one place might be good for one kid, but might not be good for the next kid. And when my kids were in elementary school, so there were fewer options of where to send them, and I wasn't very happy about the options that we had, and I heard that somebody was looking to open a new school, and it sounded something more like I wanted. So I got very involved, and I pushed, and I helped, and I set up meetings, and I helped them get the school started.
Meeting
and
with new parents.
we opened a school that I was happy with, and it was in the neighborhood. And so, like, if you want something, you got to work for it, and it might be challenging, but
That's another great
it's
thing Israel
possible.
teaches you. Yeah, you
I
want
also say
something,
that.
do it.
And with high
It's also
school,
something people
high
struggle
school,
with.
like we didn't get into, the schools we wanted, which is also, normal. And I wasn't interested in like fighting because that's the next stage. Like you don't get in, then you start fighting. That's just normal. Like there's nothing wrong with you when you don't get in. It's just by default, you don't get in and then fight. So I wasn't
Which is
interested.
annoying, but it trains you to get places.
Yeah,
Because
but-
there's no such a thing as easy here.
So-
Everything.
Builds resilience.
Yeah, so
Jews have to
I
be
wasn't
resilient.
interested in fighting in that way, so I fought in a different way. There was,
But
again,
how
a
did it
new
work
school,
also?
a new high school I heard about, and I said, okay, this sounds amazing. And they're going to meet my daughter, and they're going to want her, and they're going to love her, and she's going to grow there. And okay, so it will have its challenges, and yes, it has challenges because it was new, and they didn't know exactly, how to go about certain things, but it was amazing, and she's had an amazing experience. And that school wasn't right for my next kid, so we had to start all over again, and we had to find a new high school for my next kid.
So you
And-
started 2 schools?
no, I didn't start any schools. I was pioneered with them. And,
Gotcha.
And the next daughter, we started again, and we found a school to be good for her, and it was challenging. And the first year was very hard for her, and she stuck through, and then eventually she learned to like it, and she's happy there now. My son just switched yeshivas, started a new Zman, and he decided that where he wasn't happy enough, and he just started a new yeshiva, and hopefully, we're hoping that he'll be happy there. And if not, he knows the first place would love to have him back, and
That's what's
so he has
amazing.
both options right now.
Both options are open for him, and they both want him. There are options.
So yeah, and this is someone who grew up here and speaks perfect Hebrew, and so like these are just normal life challenges that anyone could have anywhere, no matter what language you speak, and but we're fighting for good things in an amazing place. So that's the difference.
Okay, so let's wrap things up. I'm gonna face the thing. All right, guys. We hope you enjoyed that episode. I know I did. And if you're not triggered, well, then you can watch my other episodes. Eventually, you'll get triggered. No, Nisana, what do you think?
Absolutely. I think that everything that you can say, you've said. And I think in the end of the day, those that want to be triggered will become triggered. And those who want to be inspired will become inspired.
Whoa.
It's the same button.
Whoa.
It's just how you take it.
Nisana, I didn't know you were so deep. Okay, guys. So, if you enjoyed that or not, like, subscribe, homeboundisrael.com, drop a donation if you haven't gotten that already. I make jokes, but the money goes to good places. We're bringing Jews back in mass, Baruch Hashem. Homebound, Netanel, your guy in Israel. Read the cap. He is your guy in Israel. Netanel's a tzaddik. He helps everyone in Eretz Yisrael. After you've been inspired by my videos to get to Eretz Yisrael, you call Netanel. He will take care of the rest. As far as I know, Netanel picks people up at the airport for free.
That's right. As long as you are making Aliyah, I will pick you up for free and take you to your apartment. That's right.
Pretty big.
That's right.
That's pretty big. Okay, so homeboundisrael.com. Check it out. Check out the other videos. Like, subscribe. Anything else? Chazak ve'ematz.
Hazak v'yamatz. I wasn't supposed to do that.
This is his
I'm
outro.
sorry.
You don't. What? No, you don't say the thing.
It's on our call.
We have to start the whole.
It's on my card.
We have to start the whole podcast again. Chazak ve'ematz. Be strong. Be courageous. Don't get triggered. Get inspired. We will see you in the next one.